So welcome back to DecoyNoise, where today we're covering more stories from r/AmITheA and having you, the viewer, taking them to Decoy Court to give their final sentencing. So today's featured post is, am I the antagonist for refusing to apologize for a childhood diary and getting angry my privacy was violated? So OP writes, I, a 25-year-old female, took in my dad, stepmom, and stepbrother while they were getting some major repairs done on their home. During the time they were with me, my stepsister, a 22-year-old female, was there to see them. She decided to snoop in my home. My dad and stepmom let her. She found an old diary I had and read it. She got upset by the contents of it, mostly because I wrote about how I hated having her in my life when my dad first married her mom and saying she was annoying and bratty and I wish she could live with her dad out of state. All of this was written in a diary when I was 10. She freaked out on me when I got home. I asked her who gave her permission to look through my stuff. My dad told me to calm down. I told them they should have stopped her. My stepmom went nuts saying it was all horrible that I ever wished her daughter was sent away. It got a little nuts between us all. My stepsister demanded an apology for the stuff she read. I told her I was the person who was owed an apology because she went through my private space uninvited and snooped through my stuff. She told me it didn't matter because she uncovered something that she deserved to be uncovered. I told her it was the kind of attitude I didn't like about her back then. This set the three of them off at me, and I ended up telling the three of them to leave. My stepbrother wanted to stay with me, but his mom wouldn't let him. They have since reached out asking me to apologize, but I stand firm in not apologizing and being the one who is owed an apology. So, am I the antagonist? And taking the case and rushing it over to Decoy Court to give my judgment on the situation is, no, you don't deserve it. They don't deserve an apology for doing something that hurt themselves. This would be the equivalency of someone saying, hey, I don't like spicy food, but I found spicy food in the back of your cupboard. I ate it. So, I mean, now my mouth is hot, so you owe me an apology for making me eat spicy food. It's like, no one told you can eat my food. What are you doing? And this honestly is like the equivalency of something that's a pet peeve of mine in relationships where someone will go through like really old social media posts and saying, who's this person? Or this person left this comment on here and why are they saying that? And why are you saying that to that person? I'm like, this was before I even knew you, and why are you bringing that up into this situation? That's unfair to me and the other people, and why is this my fault that you went in there and found something? Like, I wholeheartedly believe, like, yeah, everybody does it, and I admit to it. If you're meeting somebody and sometimes they pop up on your social media accounts like, oh, you might want to friend this person, you look at it and you're like, okay, cool, they're into the same things as mine, or they're like, they're not, or something, and you're like, okay, cool, I don't want to stalk them too much, but it happens. But don't ever go through old Instagram photos and like, their past relationships and stuff, because it can only hurt. It can never be a net positive for me, because what are the alternatives? Like, the girl I'm dating either has a very handsome, tall, buff, chiseled jaw, movie star ex-boyfriend. You're like, oh my god, like, is she settling for me? Like, you're gonna start to have like self-esteem issues, like, why was she with him and now with me, what's going on? Or the inverse of that, you go through there and you're like, oh my god, these old photos of all their ex-boyfriends, they're all hideous and ugly and underemployed, what's going on here? Am I ugly too? And then that would cause you lots of distress. Or the other thing could be where you look through it and like, my god, every single ex-boyfriend she has looks exactly like me. Does she just have a thing for guys that look like me with my accent, with my hair and all that stuff? And that's also going to be a problem. So it's one of those situations, it's a no-win game. Why go through old images of social media to find something that's going to hurt you no matter what? And why go through a diary where it's like, what if there's no win? What if she went through there and found that she's talking trash about her? She'll be mad. She goes through there and finds out that OP was obsessed with her. She's going to be like weirded out now. It's like, there's no win, so why are you going to go ahead and do that? I guess the Decoy defense of the whole scenario would be is she didn't say like, I hope the sister moves out and moves to the state that her biological father is. Like, the state of her biological father was like someone that was criminally insane and was in an asylum, or was like, serving life over in Guantanamo Bay or something, and then OP's just sitting there like, I wish she'd go to Guantanamo Bay or lose her mind as well, and that'd be a terrible thing to say. So I could see that being more of a different thing, like not wishing that she didn't live with me anymore, like wishing that she wasn't on this earth anymore would be kind of harsh. But I mean, I guess living in the world of Decoy Court without the Decoy defense, without all the insane things that I'm saying right now, I'm saying, OP, you're not the antagonist. If you're doing somebody a favor, they don't deserve an explanation as to what your favor is, especially when they're taking advantage of that and invading your privacy. I don't imagine they're ever going to receive an apology or another favor from OP until they apologize. So Decoy Court is going to take a brief recess. I want you to drop in the comment section down below your thoughts as to what you're thinking. And also, if at any point in time during my rant you cracked a smile or kind of nodded in agreement, you kind of owe me a subscription now. You kind of owe me that fact that you're going to join that Decoy Court with the notifications on, because as you know, even if you subscribe to me, you likely won't even see my new videos in your feed. So go ahead and click the notification bell if you ever want to see me again, because for whatever reason my channel isn't popping up. But let's go ahead and look at the prosecution in Reddit, which is often called the top comments. So the top comment is, not the antagonist. Your stepsister basically proved that 10-year-old you was correct and very astute judge of character, which is true. She's kind of being an entitled jerk. And then also the next post is, gosh, you were 10 and they violated your privacy. They should apologize to you. Very true. And the reply from OP is, there's a pattern for her. Has been since I met her, which is why, had I known, my stuff would have been locked up a lot tighter in general so she couldn't snoop. Which is a sad thing. Why do you gotta lock stuff up in your own home when it's your home? Next top reply. Not the antagonist. This is crazy. It's very immature to flip out over something that happened 15 years ago, even more so given that you were a child. I'm amazed that if they ask for an apology after going through your private diary, the nerve of some people. And that's the thing, is like, it seems that they were just enablers of the stepsister, where she could do no wrong. Like, they let her move in, be kind of a terror in their household and make an OP not like her, and when she turns around and does more activity just the same way, they're like, hey, look, stop messing with our favorite child. We let her do whatever she wants. She can never do any wrong. OP, apologize for her bad behavior now. So that's what the top comments are. Let's go ahead and see what the controversial comments are saying right now, which is, not the antagonist, not the antagonist, not the antagonist. I would be so pissed off if I were you. I cannot believe that she did that, and I can't believe your dad and stepmom allowed it. If anyone in my life from ages of 12 to 16 read my diary, I would be so despised by my entire family, full stop. About 10 years ago, I actually reread my old diary of mine from that period, from the time I was 13 to 14, and I actually had to shred it because some of the things I said and some of the memories brought up. It was so full of anger and hatred. I literally didn't want it in my home, despite living thousands of miles from my immediate family. I can't remember what the issues were about, but it was unpleasant to read, even decades later. People's hearts would have been broken if they read that stuff. Angry teenage stuff. Anyways, you're absolutely not the antagonist, OP. You have every right to be angry and upset. They should be apologizing to you. I'm sorry, that sucks. And that's the thing, is all kids say things they don't mean. We're angsty, we're teenagers, we're angry at stuff, you know what I mean? Like, you don't need to be held accountable for things you said as a kid because it's just, you're stupid back then. But the next top controversial reply was, not the antagonist. You were 10 and she shouldn't be looking through your diary. However, you do need to discuss this with your family once you've cooled off. You shouldn't view it an apology as you conceding, but as a way to move forward and set some clear boundaries with your relationship. Apologize for the fact that she had to read something nasty about herself, but explain this was a 10-year-old girl coping with a divorce in the family, and that a 25-year-old you does not share the same feelings. If it's not true for the sake of your dad, just lie and make it genuine, and the apology is over. Throw in something about her that you like to make it genuine. Go on to explain, however, that you're upset whilst being a guest in your house. She has broken your trust by looking through personal items, which she is old enough to know was wrong. Don't demand or expect an apology for this, but if she's not an antagonist, then she'll apologize. If she doesn't, that's her character and nothing to do with you. This is the traditional person that's afraid to stand up for themselves. Like, oh my God, you broke my window? I'm sorry, my window exists there for you to break it. I'm not expecting an apology, but, you know, just know that the rocks will break my window if you throw it at it while screaming obscenities at me. I'm so sorry. Like, this is BS to me. Like, you don't need to apologize when someone violates your privacy and takes something from when you're a kid and say, apologize for something that happened more than a decade ago and I'm still doing it now. And she, of course, OP's not going to apologize by saying, you know, don't view the apology as conceding. No, view it as you just being walked over and you just can't stand up for yourself. And also the idea that it's like, you know, explain why you felt a particular way. It's like, no, explain why you're going through my stuff. This is that same analogy of having hot food in your cupboard. Just because they broke in, ate your food, it's a ghost pepper. I'm not apologizing for having a ghost pepper. If I enjoy a ghost pepper, that's on you. But, you know, that's my thoughts or whatever. I mean, I guess, let me know your thoughts and feelings on that situation down below. But let's go ahead and get to that next top post, which is, am I the antagonist for declining to help out my nosy homeowner association neighbor who likes to complain about me? So OP writes, first, I wouldn't even ask here if my neighbor hadn't gossiped to everyone in the building about this, but since I've gotten mixed feedback from other concerned neighbors, I'll just ask here, am I in the wrong for saying no to my neighbor? Background. My neighbor and I have never gotten along since I moved into the building. The building is a condo that is professionally managed by a property management company, much like an apartment, but also has a homeowner association that basically hires a management company. I'm not really in tune with the structure, but suffice to say the homeowner association makes up the rules and the management company enforces them. My next door neighbor on my floor is a busybody who is both on the homeowner association board and involved in the architecture and improvements committee. Part of the job of the committee apparently is to police decorating decisions of the residents to make sure what we do is in harmony with the safety and aesthetic standards of the community. She has already complained about the planters on my balcony because they aren't the right color, and about my Tinder friends. Too many visitors to the board. I know because I have a friend who was on the board. I've long ago decided I want nothing to do with this nosy neighbor. Problem. I spent Friday night in my neighbor's and asked me to drop off his ballot because I was going on a jog the next day, and the drop-off box that is a couple miles from our building is en route. I agreed. In the morning, on my way back to my unit to freshen up for my morning jog, my neighbor caught me in the hallway on our floor, and she saw me holding a ballot envelope. She stopped me and asked me if I would be a dear and drop off her ballot for her as well. I simply and politely said, "Sorry, I can't. I don't feel comfortable doing that." I had my reasons, but I didn't feel like going into them with her. She first complained about me on multiple occasions. There is no reason for me to go out of my way to help her. Second, she has proven herself to be the complaining type. I don't want to risk her accusing me of fraud or somehow mishandling her ballot should anything go wrong. She was angry and gossiped about my unwillingness to help her out even though I was dropping off my ballot. I didn't tell her that I was actually dropping off my friend's ballot. This morning, the Homeowners Association sent out an email reminding all of us to be cordial and kind to our neighbors despite the polarizing times. Now I'm wondering if I should have just taken her ballot too and dropped it off for her. So, taking the case and rushing over to Decoy Court because this situation probably can get a little bit fiery, to say the least, due to the whole political climate right now, but DecoyNoise isn't about that. We're about just strictly online drama. And with this situation over here, it's like, no, they're being mean to you. Like, why would you ever do a favor to somebody when they're being a jerk to you constantly and getting in your business? The whole, like, you have too many Tinder dates over. There's too many people at your place. That's like this subtle shaming of someone that's saying, like, I don't have anything going on in my life so much. I can watch you live your life, and I'm going to tell you how to live your life, even though I'm not happy with my life. So be more like me, a miserable shrew or whatever. I don't understand that at all. So no, it's not your job to help them out. And also it puts OP in a compromising position because they know they're a busybody. They know they're doing weird things, and there's all sorts of different things that can come along with that. So I'm saying that OP isn't the antagonist for that, but I could also see on the other end, the Decoy defense is if, the neighbor is a busybody because she's, handicapped in some particular way where she can't get around, she can't move, and all the busybodiness is just because she used to be a city planner. She used to have a high position in the court system, or she used to be doing this amazing stuff, and maybe just due to, mental deterioration or actually like a physical disability, now she can't. And it's one of those situations where, yeah, she's a busybody, but, she's depressed and she's very sad, and this is how it's coming out. Is it a kind of an inconvenience to you? Yeah, it is, but you kind of feel bad for them anyway. And when the OP's running around jogging and like kind of rubbing it in their face, and they're saying, hey, could you just be a dear and just drop off the ballot? I'd like to go over there, but it's actually going to be much inconvenience for me and also like physical pain for me to get down there. Could you please do this for me so I can vote safely? And OP's all like, knocks it out of her hand. Yeah, good luck with that. So, I mean, that would be the Decoy defense as to why they would be the bad person, but I kind of see it more in reality, and I know personal, like, busybodies where they don't have anything better to do in their life other than to try to dictate how you live your life. So, I'm going to go ahead and say in Decoy Court, OP, you're not the antagonist, because I can't see a reason why you'd want to put yourself in a compromising situation where they can accuse you of something terrible when you already know you can't trust them. So, as always, let's go ahead and take a brief recess. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below about story number 2. Were they the antagonist? Should they just help out since they're going there already? I mean, causing more friction, is it worth it? Or do you just stand by your willingness to just stand up for yourself and say, no, F that. I'm not helping anybody that is going to snitch on me and watch my Tinder interactions, because that's just weird. But let's go ahead and go over to the top comment, which is the prosecution. Not the antagonist. Only close family members are supposed to drop off ballots. Ignore the stupid emails and ignore your nosy neighbor, which is true. I think the homeowner association email was from the neighbor themselves. Like, they're in charge of that. They're doing it. The next reply. Not the antagonist. I'm mad reading that. Mad at the nosy neighbor, the people who gossip with nosy neighbor, and mad at the homeowner association sending out the email like you want cordial. Cordial means saying yes all the time. Cordial doesn't mean saying yes all the time. It can mean politely declining, that's being cordial. She can decline whether or not she wants to drop off the box. And also, there's just so much exposure OP has with that situation. And honestly, I'm just going to echo what I said before. That wasn't the homeowner association. That was a neighbor saying, hey, be cordial, be nicer to me or whatever. But the controversial section is saying, not the antagonist, but stop bringing people over during the lockdown. Seriously. And the text reply was, mind your business, busybody. And yeah, I mean, that's a thing. Next top reply, I don't think you need to take her ballot, but you do need to be clear with her about why you don't want anything to do with her. You can tell her that her complaints about you made you suspicious, that she'll twist anything into a complaint. That's why you're giving her a wide berth. And it's true. It's like you just don't want to give any more exposure to this person that you know will take everything, flip it around in the worst possible way, and try to condemn you for it because you're just living your life. But that's the second story. Let's go ahead and go to that third and final story of the day, which is, am I the antagonist for telling a friend's ex it's her fault? On a mobile, so apologies. This happened today and still so upset and angry. My best friend, a 32-year-old male, recently passed away. He was with a girl, Lana, a 30-year-old female, for 8 years and engaged. He adored her. To say he supported her would have been an understatement. He got her clean, paid off her debts, tens of thousands of dollars, paid for a law degree, and when she finished and didn't like the job, he paid for her to study more. Bought her the house of her dreams, cars, dogs, boob job, everything. What she ever wanted, she got, and he never did much for himself. He was so devoted to her and his dogs that was his family. He had a poor family life growing up and was determined to be different, and the love he had for her was unconditional. His happiness came from looking after the people he loved. He's been my best friend since we were 6 years old. We've been through everything, and she made him so happy. Then about 18 months ago, her ex, a 50-year-old male, came back and started causing problems. He told me the ex wanted her back and she was using again. 2 weeks ago, he told me she'd admitted to being in a relationship with him and could he sign over the house and cars to her. He was broken, to say the least. We rallied around his friends to try to support him, but sadly it was not enough. Today at the funeral, she showed up with her ex/new partner. And acted all sad and woe is me. That was not okay, but we kept our peace till she said to his mother, I thought he was happy. What would have caused this? I lost it and told her that she broke his heart. He loved her through thick and thin. Even when she treated him like crap, he still loved her, and she used and broke him. It's all her fault. This also exposed her cheating in front of his friends and family, but also her family who treated him like a son and were not aware of the affair. Am I the antagonist for blaming her and exposing her? So taking the case and rushing it over to Decoy court, which is a very sensitive situation with this story, I would say it's sad because it needed to be done. Like, the mother should be been aware of it, but this is a mother grieving over her son, and in a very untimely way. 32-year-old male, you don't think they're anywhere near their death, and also no parent should have to bury their own child. And this situation over here where she's burying her kid and people are just giving their condolences, like, yeah, maybe the ex-girlfriend Lana bringing the new dude was in bad taste, and it's like, you know, maybe it's like this thing, woe is me, to get attention and everything. It's not about getting justice. It's not about the whole, you know, I need to prove you're wrong, and mom, I need to let you know what a terrible person she is. It's not the time or the place to do this. Like, maybe afterwards let them know after she's done grieving. But now you've not only brought up, like, blasted the ex-wife, now you're making her go through different emotions and other feelings and stuff. It's just like, let a grieving woman grieve. Don't make it about you. Don't make it about the ex-wife. Like, later on, blast her. Go on social media, maybe tell the mom, maybe do a whole bunch of stuff to make it so she can't get any inheritance from the best friend that passed away. But I don't think that's the time to do it. But I'm gonna go ahead and say that in the Decoy defense, and let me preface this with, Decoy defense is oftentimes a made-up story. A made-up absurd story is, you know, this whole situation where he got really sad all out of nowhere. Could this have been some part of hers doing, where she's like, sign the house over to me, like she never liked him, she just wanted to get all the money, the gifts, the law degree and everything, and then get back on track so she can get her ex-man back to come live with her now. So was she more in part of this? And now this was a time where, you know, being there at the funeral was going to give her the legal foothold to start taking all his property after he passed away. So maybe this was something that he had to do right then and there. So then it wasn't even in her grief at the wake, she's signing over the rights or something like that. Maybe that was done, but I'm saying the Decoy defense is just something where I'm going to say, like, I make up on the spot to try to be, you know, controversial and figure out what the other side could have been if they're like hiding something in the story. But, you know, judging it based on Decoy court and what's actually happening in the situation, I'm gonna go ahead and say not the antagonist. There's no way that they could be the bad guy. But as always, we'll take a brief recess in Decoy court. Let me know your thoughts down below for story number 3, you know, the funeral meltdown, funeral fight. You know, would you have done that in this situation, or would you just let sleeping dogs lie? So let's go ahead and head over to the top comments, which is the prosecution, which is not the antagonist, but I wish he found someone better than that trash. By the way, what was the aftermath? OP says, all heck broke loose. Her dad went mental at the new partner and her. The mums were screaming and ended up turning on each other who cared more. Luckily, his dad, who was never around most of his life, finally stepped up and semi-calmed things down, and she was welcome to stay, but he was not welcome and he needed to leave. And that was when he leaves to hand over the keys for the house and cars, and he's left everything to charity. Okay, so that's good. They got the money. That was kind of the Decoy defense, is like, get the money to charity. The next reply is, not the antagonist. Also, that was boss's heck move. Okay. And the next top comment is, I'm not giving a judgment. My brother committed that event last year, so I know the stress you and more so his family. What I'm about to say is based on my unfortunate experiences and observations. Did her actions help contribute to the decision? Most likely. Was she so responsible? No. Your friend made a decision. My brother made a decision. It wasn't rational or sane, but it was at theirs. I don't begrudge you or your anger. I can't and won't judge you for your loss or his family's grief, but anyone who tries is an antagonist here. As long as you're not abusive, you do you. I cannot blame you for losing it at the funeral. The family had every right to know. I will say that you might want to pop by and check in on them. To say this because your timing, while understandable due to her statement, wasn't the best. The wake/funeral is surreal and frankly exhausting experience, and I only remember bits and pieces, as does the rest of my family. I would follow up and ask if they'd like the whole story again. Grieving while neutral is terrible. People do and say things they won't mean in 6 months. If anyone in the family is mad at you for your timing or adding another layer to everything, which is already overwhelming to them, just give them time. I don't think this would happen because you've given them the perfect object to direct their anger, but I just want to warn you. On to you, grief is different. I hope you talk to someone if you need to and find survivors of support group. Here's a link to a really helpful packet on that loss. I invite you to check out that subreddit, and you're welcome to participate or just look. I'm so sorry you joined our crappy club. So it's good that you have somebody that, like, you know, kind of read between the lines and realized what happened and says, here's a support group, here's what you're going through, which is probably what you need at that point in time. Just someone that knows what you're going through. They'll listen to you, share their stories, and make you feel a little bit less alone, or maybe a little bit less to blame, and it's just a good support group. Something I don't want to cover on my subreddit, not my subreddit, on my channel at all, because it should be loose and fun, but once I started reading it, if there's somebody out there that needed to hear that, I hope that was a good resource for you to go back and look at later on. But, you know, I try to make this channel light, fun, and just silly. But back to the top controversial comment, but it's gonna be you know, I'm just going to skip that one because it's just going to be berating them. So the next controversial comment is, not the antagonist. Usually the loss of a person to that situation can't be blamed entirely on one person, but holy crap, in this case it really can. Also, it's usually a big no to cause a huge uproar at the funeral. It seems that the people who were there had no idea what happened between them. She still had keys to his stuff and came to his funeral like she had no clue what happened. This tells me she probably planned on going in and taking what she wanted for sentimental reasons. You probably just saved his family a ton of trouble with preserving your friend's wish that what he left behind went to charity. I'm so sorry you lost your friend. I'm sure there's pain, maybe even guilt, and a feeling you didn't do enough. But please remember, you stuck by him, you were there for him, and I wish you peace. So maybe a heavier story. I mean, I try not to read the stories too much ahead of time because I want to have a genuine knee-jerk reaction for Decoy Court, and just to kind of, I guess, improv my Decoy Court and Decoy defense in a genuine way. I feel like it'd be cheating the audience if I already read it, had my idea, and didn't do something off the cuff. I mean, I don't want to read that, but I guess maybe it should have been a thing where I saw something about telling an ex it's their fault, read it a little bit more to avoid a deeper topic. But if you like the fact that sometimes I'll do Am I the Antagonist, different subreddits, and, you know, heavier stories and very light stories sometimes, make sure you let me know down below. Maybe subscribe all as well. Turn on the notifications to let me know that you want to be a part of that Decoy Koi Pond, because for whatever reason, people just aren't seeing my posts show up in their feed. But that's okay. If you don't want to do any of that, you don't want to share my content, you don't want to share the channel overall, I just ask that maybe you click that like button and then also put this on autoplay to watch the next episode of DecoyNoise coming up next.